I'm Pia. I am a Filipino student here living in Korea. I did my undergrad here and I'm currently doing my master's. So I first moved in Korea, as I mentioned a while ago when we were talking behind the camera. I moved to Korea when I was 17 years old. So I already did actually a semester in the Philippines. I remember my parents were like, she's probably gonna come back after a month or whatever. So I did work for the U.S. Embassy because I am also an international studies student.
Yeah. What do you think, like, did Korea teach you anything, good or bad, whatever it is?
Korea has taught me is that no matter how much I feel like I should be pressured to do well, but I should also enjoy my time.
Is there any advice that you have for the foreigners who are coming in for Korea for the first time?
We should put effort to learn the language, I guess.
Hello everyone, welcome to JIMK. Many of you guys have asked us how to apply for different jobs in schools and why they can't get a job, or how's the life in the Korea when it comes to international students, or what to do in the student campus area, some other frequently asked questions, and today we are going to cover all of those. We have brought an awesome guest who has completed her undergrads as well as doing her master's right now in Korea. Welcome, Pia.
Hi everyone, I'm Pia. I am a Filipino student here living in Korea. I did my undergrad here and I'm currently doing my master's degree.
Welcome to the show. Again, I met her on K Campuses, through one of the K Campuses blogs, and she writes awesome blogs. We will add one or two blog links that she has written on the description. And I was talking to you before, and we were talking about like your life when you first came to Korea, then you went back, and then you came back to Korea, which is fascinating for me. So how's your journey was? Like, what made you come to Korea and what made you go back again?
Well, so I first moved in Korea, as I mentioned a while ago when we were talking behind the camera. I moved to Korea when I was 17 years old. And so at that time, I visited Korea, I think twice with my family just for travel, because Korean drama was a thing before, even before that. So just for travel, I visited Korea and I like Korea. But then at that point, I was like from high school, I just saw a poster on our school guidance counselor office and it says like study in Korea, whatever, scholarship type of program. And I like applying. I'm the type who applies for everything. So I'm like, I'm gonna apply here. And then my parents are very supportive. So they said, yeah, sure, apply. And at that time, I was also applying to local universities in the Philippines. So I'm like, wherever life brings me. So I got into some schools in the Philippines. I also got into a global Korea, like global year scholarship program, which is just a university program here in Korea, but it also gives you a full-time scholarship, a full scholarship including accommodation and everything. So I already did actually a semester in the Philippines, and then when I got accepted to a Korean university and be like, should I
repeat it and start again?
Yeah, I had a lot of thoughts, but I thought that, when do I get this chance again? And my parents are very supportive. So they just told me, okay, just file for a leave of absence, go to Korea, and then if you don't like it, just come back. Like,
that's awesome feedback. Like, not that many people actually do that.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just lucky to have that type of parents that were really just like, you can do what you want now. If you make a mistake, then that's fine.
You will come back. You will learn from your experiences, kind of vibe. So you just saw one of the application form and you decided to come to Korea after that.
Yes, I went here and I remember my parents were like, she's probably gonna come back after a month or whatever.
That happened with me as well.
Really? And then I said, no, maybe I'm gonna stay here.
Literally, like coming from India to Korea in 2015 was really shocking decision for my parents. It's like, what is it in Korea? Like, what are you going to do there? You don't even know their language. But I was really stubborn. So it's like, okay, you have to send me. Like, I kind of threatened them. Not really, but kind of like, okay, I'm going to run away. Just send me kind of a thing. And they were like, okay, go there. And they thought that I would be back within like 2-3 months because I wouldn't be able to survive. And somehow I stayed here till now. That's like kind of the persistence.
That's how it was. But at that time, I was like 2013, and people were like, they know Korean dramas, but like first studying abroad for Filipinos is not not everyone's like normal college
Yes,
dream.
yes.
So that's already one thing to go abroad to study. But also, why in Korea? Like, people will be like, yeah, I know there are Korean dramas. I
Yeah.
know this actor, this actress, but like,
What would you like?
yeah,
Why
yeah,
to study?
why there? So, but I just like wanted to try something that I feel like at that point I was like making a decision for my life, and just maybe if something goes wrong, then I'm just gonna come back. But yeah,
I
everything
guess like
happens for a
that's
reason.
that's an awesome decision at the time. Like you did try for a new adventure
Mhm.
that you did not know where it's going to
Mhm.
take you.
Mhm.
That requires courage and like some kind of first step.
Mhm.
So how was it once you came back? Did you just live in Seoul from the start, or
No, actually, I lived in an outside of Seoul for my undergrad, and then after I graduated, I left Korea for a bit. So I went back to the Philippines, worked a little bit in the Philippines, and then COVID happened, and a lot of things. Like, I do want to do my master's before 30. That's my dream, or like my goal,
uh-huh.
personal goal. So I was like, I need to do this now or soon at least. And at that point, Korea was one of the like ideal country to go to, again because I'm used to the culture already. But also COVID-19 wise, it was managed quite well than other countries as well.
Oh my God, there are so many questions that are coming in my mind at the moment. So you first came and you did not live in Seoul, so you lived a little bit outskirts of Seoul. So how's living outside of Seoul and living in Seoul compared?
Yeah, so now I live in Seoul, but I also live in Korea, like near Korea University, which is not, it's still campus area, but it's also not in like Yonsei or like
Like other,
Hongdae
yeah, like
area.
a,
So it's still quite of like it gives more of a community vibe. So I feel like that's one of the things that I enjoyed the most when I was living not in Seoul, because it's just it's a peaceful place.
it's not that like fast,
Yeah,
kind of.
it's not a fast environment. Of course, like Koreans, I feel like anywhere could be
Fast-paced,
pali-pali,
yeah.
but it still has, it gives me a time to breathe. So if I do want to go to a river that is really close by, take a bicycle
Great.
and everything, I could do that. And as undergrad, I feel like I had less things to do at that time. So really just enjoyed my youth. I feel like it took I changed from like a teenager to an adult during my undergrad. So I feel like the environment was really perfect for me.
So many people right now, like I have a couple of new student friends who are leaving outskirts of Seoul. When they get the scholarship, they have to do language program first, like KGSP program or something, and they are living outside of Seoul, and they're like, it's really different life there because even the convenience is not that much comfort, and something is like has to be sacrificed because there are not that many things which are right next to you, or you cannot get food delivered right away or something like that. Did you even feel those kind of uncomfortableness?
Yes, there are limit. Like, I feel like because I lived in a dormitory, so like usually around the university, there's a lot of like things to do, like restaurants or whatever. But it's still not comparable to how Seoul is. Like, there's so many things to do here, and but the good thing about that one is that even if it's you go to similar places every single time, like there's not much, like you have your favorite restaurant that you already know the owner, that you already 안녕하세요 type of vibe, and they give you every time. They're really smiley when you come because they're used to you. But also you go to specific areas that you frequent with your friends, so it's more of like, it's like core memory. So now even if we meet again or like do a small reunion, sometimes we still remember exactly what we do in which area. So I feel like it has its pros and cons. It can be inconvenient, but
you find the happiness in that inconvenience.
Yes, it's true. It's like you enjoy your time in simple things when I was still living there. But at the same time, Seoul convenience is actually pretty good. Everything is like, it's much easier to have the delivery and to go to places. For example, if you have like programs or job interviews or whatever, it's much easier to go to wherever you want
Transport is
to.
great and
So
everything. Yeah.
that was the only convenience I feel like I could still remember, is like, oh, I have this program, so if I need to be in Seoul by this time, I have to leave really early,
Yeah.
and I have to stay whole day in Seoul and then come back at
Uh-huh.
night. But at the same time, I feel like it was still a home at some point.
I think I totally get that. Whenever I go back to India or somewhere which is not like this fast-paced kind of convenience country or area, I just don't know how to spend my time. It's like I'm so used to always being like, okay, let's do this, then that, and productivity and something like it. So just I forgot how to enjoy my time. Sometimes it's just like if I sit doing nothing for more than an hour, it feels like, okay, what should I do? Kind of a feeling. So India is not that fast paced when it comes to that. People like to take their time. They like to like enjoy the place they are in instead of like always running somewhere. So whenever I go back, it's a different feeling. I do like that feeling. I do like this feeling as well. So I don't, sometimes it's hard for me to decide which one I do like. And the comfort in Korea is like I order something yesterday and it comes the next day, which is really hard to get in any other country. Right.
Same.
And then when you were telling your story, you said like you went back. What? So is it because something happened in Korea, or what? Why? What made you make that decision?
So when I was in undergrad, I took, because I feel like this is also a cultural difference with, at least with the Philippines. People don't really stop your studies just to pursue other things. Like Hyuhak or like LOA in Korea is so normal.
Common, yeah.
Like Korean students would know that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this internship, I'm gonna take Hyuhak, which is like
gap year,
gap semester or whatever. So at that time, I was like, oh, I realized in Korea is such a normal, it's a common thing. So maybe I should do it too, because I took one semester off just because I feel like living in Korea, having this Korean background, I feel like although it has made me grow as a person in a Korean society, it also made me detached from the Philippine society. So I feel like if I do pursue a career in the Philippines, I should at least know how it is in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So I took that step to ask my parents if it's okay, and as my supportive parents are, they're like, yeah, just take a semester off and apply for internships here in the Philippines if you want to. And I spent that, like, okay, that's like 4 months of LOA and then 2 months extra for the vacation. And I spent every single day in different, I think I did 4 internships in the Philippines. Like I tried to do like one for the press, one for diplomatic missions, one for a bank. Like I wanted to explore all types of environment, I guess, and want to see how different it is, and wanted to learn, like just to make me see if I see myself here or I see myself somewhere else. And I really liked my internship with the US Embassy in the Philippines. So I did work for the US Embassy after I graduated too. So there was an offer right after I graduated, and because I am also an international studies student who majors in international relations, I wanted to have that experience. Although I feel like, oh, I'm gonna leave Korea, but I said Korea is already my home. I feel like I'm gonna come back here anyway. So so that my step was like, okay, let me go back to the Philippines, and it's been quite long too, like 4 years here doing undergrad, and maybe I just wanted to I miss the my home country, right? So I decided, okay, let me just work for the Philippines a little bit. And also it's some sort of like giving back to the country, because I spent already 4 years of like, I'm enjoying my life too. So I feel like as an international students major, I wanted to do something into like development, or at least try to figure out some bilateral relations. So that's what my interests were at that time. And I don't regret it. I still, Korea is here. Korea didn't, I was able to come back anyways.
So. That's so awesome. So you also mentioned like right now first, when you first came, you were the youngest, so you had that feeling is like baby pampering you by a lot of students. But now you are doing the masters, and it's not like again pampering other students, but since you lived in Korea before and you had these experiences, whenever the new student comes in, you feel maybe how to tell them like this and that. So do you have like any really frequently asked questions that they ask you maybe?
Yeah, so I was younger before, and then I feel like I learned all these little details that would have helped new students now. What are the usual ones are, as I mentioned a while ago, are like banking questions or how to find a job. Because like I have this friend who always says, oh, this Pia, she lived in Korea for so long. So a lot of people tend to ask me questions about how to figure out, for example, for school in terms of education, like the course system in universities, like 교양 선택, 교양 필수, like all those things are never really detailed explained for new students.
Yes, it's not.
It's just like figure it out type of system. So all these, like I feel like I'm such a zombie for a lot of people because aside from even coursework, they ask me about how to figure out on housing, for example. Especially a lot of people don't speak Korean, and they have to figure out about like contracting with a realtor and all the other things that you have to figure out. ARC wise, how to usually, I mean, all the informations are there usually, but like how long does it take?
And it's changing. ARC is something like when I first came, there were not that many foreigners in Korea. So it was a little bit easy to get an appointment with the immigration office at that time. Like it did not take like 3 weeks. Right now they are saying that they are almost booked, no matter how urgent it is. Like of course you can put an urgent request if that's necessary, but it's like 3 weeks or a month you have to wait just to get an appointment. And after that they would do it slowly. So it's like really pain in the ass kind of a situation.
I think that was a good thing about my undergrad because you're not in Seoul also.
Oh yeah, they are less crowded.
And also our school had a group submission, like application thing. So they bring us through by bus and have us do all the fingerprint and everything together. So like I didn't have much like difficulty at that time.
Figure it out kind of.
Yeah, and now it's like, especially for my university right now, it's like you gotta apply by yourself. So a lot of people would be like, oh, is it too early to apply? When is the perfect time to apply? Is it okay to book even if it's still far away? All these questions that they kind of hesitate when you don't know much about Korean system yet. But yeah, that's the usual.
I guess like that's why this somehow like 1345 the phone number is really helpful because they do help you with a lot of information. It's just like sometimes they are, so it really depends on person by person, right? On call centers most of the times they are kind, but some are not. So that's the only thing that you have to figure out. But I guess like immigration is trying to help. And now I'm not really sure, but when I first came, there were not that many immigration office employees who could talk in English. So I'm not sure if they can right now or not. But if they cannot talk in English, and my Korean sucked at that time because I did not know any. So that was the hard part. But when my friends or some of the people who are coming from India or other countries ask me questions, I guess I get asked about the same thing, like which bank to apply to. So as per my information, Kakao Bank is something that foreigners can't apply to, but there are like some other banks who are really, really trying hard to get like helpful foreign-based services. But I'm not really sure. Right now I'm using Shinhan and Uri as for my own stuff, but most of the times everything is happening through the app, if you know, right? And the apps are in Korean.
Yeah.
It's really hard to figure that out. I hope like Korean government or the banks really make the English versions of their apps because they are really complicated. But I guess like they can go and make the bank accounts. But without the bank accounts, the really hard stuff is like you cannot really buy stuff online, like Coupang or even the food delivery and like K taxi, Kakao taxi, or something like that, they all require you to have a bank account or a card that they can scan and like attach to you. And that's why like people always ask like how to do this, if you can pay them by T-Money card, like when you are going for a taxi or something, which is I think like which is also available. So those kind of questions are always there.
I also usually say first it's a little bit tricky for example for me coming from the Philippines, because there's a list of countries that are not able to access Kakao Pay, and that also limits your use of Kakao Taxi and all the other things. I also personally didn't have any problems when I was in undergrad, but coming back when I was doing my master's, I had to set up my, for example, my Hana Bank in my university branch, and but they said that these countries wouldn't be able to create a debit card, even if it's just a debit card. They provide you with a withdrawal card, I guess, but it's not the ones that you could use in mejang or like in restaurants or whatever. So that was one struggle that I first experienced when I first came back. But I even like called some of my sombe before who were like working in banks, and I had to confirm because I never had this problem when I was in an undergrad. And I realized that not all banks have the same rules and regulations. So I think that the ones that I have had records with already before, it was much easier for me to reissue my previous cards. So that's one thing you should probably look at if you have been to Korea before. But also at the same time, nowadays there's a lot of different platforms for foreigners to do. I did an article a few weeks ago, I guess, for K Campus on like this card called Namane card. I'm not sure how you properly pronounce that, but it's basically a T-money, but you also can use it in restaurants and everything. So I also just figured out that this year, because first I wanted to give that to my mom. Whoever, well, if my family comes over, it's much easier to have that, and to have that like there's like two different balance from transportation and like pay balance, I guess, which is much easier for you to
like manage the money.
Your funds are. So that's much easier now for, I guess, and everything is all in English too. So it's much easier there are options for foreigners now. But like, of course, traditional banking, I heard Shinhan has English ones, if I'm not mistaken. But I personally, also, I speak Korean, but I don't have the patience to do all the Korean app things. So what I do is like, you go to the branch and like have your account set up and just ask them to help you with the
that's what I did. Yes. So because like it's really complicated and you have to do the Kongjin Injungso, which is like some kind of certification that you have to get for the app and everything, and it's really like I did not know what to do with it. And if you don't have Korean friends who like to help with those kind of stuff, like you don't know, it's like, okay, I'm so sorry, can you help me how to do that, and like make them help you a little bit. Of course they don't like that, but like what are you going to do? You have to ask them.
I feel like you should feel it. Like if the employee is a little nice, maybe, can you help me with this? Because I remember my friend who went to the same bank that as I did, and I said, "Oh, they're gonna help you set up things," and she's like, "No, they didn't. They just gave me this card and like this instruction manual, and then you have to figure out." And I'm like, I don't know how to do it because I wasn't the one who did it for myself. So I'm like, let's go find our Korean friend.
So I guess like this is the thing, before going to the bank or anywhere where you have to talk to the employee, fingers crossed, or hope to get like the kindest person there maybe. Otherwise most of the people is like, oh, that's not my job, I'm not going to help you. And that happened to me before as well, and it's really really hard to figure it out,
especially if the branch are not university areas or whatever. Like if it's like near your residence, there might be, first of all, no English speaker, and so it's like there are higher chances to have a nice employee for.
Yeah, right. Like that's like with the bank,
University
that's
ones.
one of the really best example that I can give. Otherwise, like literally, you can go to the no marts or no brands or those kind of places to buy the necessity goods, where you can give them the cash and they can
Yeah.
give you back the cash. But otherwise, like you cannot buy anything on coupon for dress
Yeah.
and something. You just have to go to like actual stores and do it.
I remember coming back this for my masters. It was the start towards the end of COVID-19, and everything was like kiosk type of payment, which is really nice. And I have my international card at that time, and I didn't have my ARC yet. So I said, okay, I'm gonna. For example, I went to a cafe that had, of course, everyone has a card payment, but they couldn't accept international cards. And I'm not a big cash bringer,
Yeah.
so I usually just have either my card or nothing at all. So like I had a difficulty to pay, and I'm like, can I go somewhere to withdraw? And the owner was really nice, and he was like, no, I'll just give this coffee for you for free, which is like,
That is not normal. but
thanks. But it was near my house, so I just figured I'm gonna take this coffee because he already started it. But like I went back in the afternoon and say, oh, I couldn't pay a while ago, but I have cash now or something.
Like it's really good to meet somebody who is like that nice. Okay, so when it comes to like Philippines, and I haven't been to Philippines, but there are a couple of Korean friends that I have who have studied there, and they say like there are two types of groups in Korea when they are in schools. They either go to US or other international or Western countries, or they go to Philippines a lot to learn English and get their education there. So when you were in school, did you also had like chance to meet a lot of Korean student friends?
When I was in like middle, like we call it grade school, high school, I did have classmates that were Korean. All our classes were together except for our Filipino class, which is our language class. So because there's difference in level of proficiency, I guess, so they have a more easy class. But aside from that, at least in one class, there's probably one or two Koreans who were with us. I remember they had their like dictionary, no Wi-Fi dictionary that they use even during exams. But I actually, when I was in high school, my school at the time had an exchange program with Korean high school student too. So it's like a sister fellowship thing.
Yeah.
And I adopted a Korean sister for like, I think a month, and she stays in our house for every weekend. So I feel like there's a lot of Koreans that comes to the Philippines, also for tourism because they're the number one tourist market for the Philippines. I think it also goes with how confident they are with their English, because Filipinos speak English too, but like we're not really a native speaker for Korean government system. So if they feel like they're not yet ready to go to a bigger world, I guess, where everything is in English, and they would prefer to go somewhere that is near, it's only 4 hours away. So that's their like first experience of speaking English, and most of them come back to the Philippines a lot for tourism, which is really nice.
I guess like because they have the memories there, they like to like go back to the places that they have been to and see the same thing. So since you lived in Korea from 2013 to 4 years, then went back and then came back. So you spent your end of the teenage to the early like adulthood in Korea. So in these like 7-8 years, I guess, what do you think, like, did Korea teach you anything, good or bad, whatever it is? Like,
honestly, a lot of people say that the society is so, like, it gives too much pressure, but sometimes I like that pressure. Like I like being productive. So this gives me the society has taught me to do my best in everything. Like I feel like I tend to not waste time, I guess. Even if when I was in undergrad, I remember my motto was like, study hard, party harder. Study hard, party harder, because like Korea is a balance of very academic or like very hardworking society, but also a fun society.
Yeah.
So I like that balance. So what Korea has taught me is that no matter how much I feel like I should be pressured to do well, but I should also enjoy my time. I mean, a lot of people will say, no, we don't enjoy it, especially Koreans who feel like they're very pressured in the society. But I feel like it also helps me understand that I have to do my best in everything that I do.
That's an awesome teaching. I do feel like Koreans work really hard, and in the night when they have to let go, they also party really hard as well, like go all out. And like the next day, no matter how much they drank the night before, they still are there in the office or in the school on time. Like that happens in the campus, university campus, or even in the workplaces. I have been to both, and they're like, oh, you guys are awesome. How do you find that kind of energy? And I totally relate with you when it comes to that. That's something that I think like a lot of people might be able to learn in here. So is there anything that, because you have lived here and you got used to it, not that many foreigners get adapt to the Korean culture that easily? Is there any advice that you have for the foreigners who are coming in for Korea for the first time?
We should put effort to learn the language, I guess. I mean, my Korean is far from perfect, but I feel like I remember when I was in undergrad, well, I speak English coming from the Philippines, right? And going into an international studies department where we're expected to speak in English and all the classes are done in English anyways. I feel like, oh no, I'm gonna be fine. I speak English and stuff. But I remember my friends were all enrolling in a Korean language course, and I did it. And I was like, I remember they coming back to our dormitory on the first day of their classes, and they were having fun. And I said, first, I want to have fun too. So I signed up for like as a late enrollee for the Korean class afterwards, and I didn't expect myself to enjoy learning the language as much as I thought. And I think that's one thing to take a step. A lot of my Korean friends would know that they said, oh, I remember Pia didn't speak on the first semester, and then she just like all of a sudden she spoke in Korean. Like I remember my Korean being like it's like baby steps, like 밥 먹으러 가요, like it goes like very different levels of Korean language.
Slowly, like,
but it doesn't matter. Like I feel like Koreans wouldn't judge you for a broken Korean.
Yes.
Like, but also at the same time, it makes you understand more of the culture.
Yeah.
There are some nuances or like some cultural things that you would only understand when you are in that society where you already speak the language. And as I've mentioned a while ago, even if there are Koreans that speak perfect English, especially nowadays, like I remember coming to Korea in 2013 and not a lot of Koreans speak English, but now it's so easy to find a English speaking Korean, which is a good thing, but also at the same time, it's different type of level of friendship. And for you to be able to understand a society, not just for Koreans, I guess, but in all types of societies, if you want to actually know the culture, language is one part. And you don't have to be the perfect one, but like to give the effort to actually take that step to know the society better, that's one thing that would help you much easier. Aside from the banks are all in Korean, aside from all the like the technical help that it can give, more than that, it can give you much more memories that you wouldn't have if you didn't speak the language.
I guess like all the guests who have come to the show, and the one advice that we asked, like the language is one of the things that they always mention is like you have to know the language to immerse yourself in the culture a little bit more smoothly. And I guess that's kind of really true. Language really helps me a lot. So when I talk to Koreans, even though they talk in English, it's just a different level of bonding. When you talk in English, it's fine. It's a little bit stiff if it's coming from two non-natives speaking countries. And even for Koreans, like they want to be always sound perfect and those kind of things. So when they talk in Korean, I just feel emotional connection right there. I don't know why. So I think like that's really one basic thing, I guess, that every foreigner has to do. Even little bit of Korean might be helpful for them, right?
Mhm.
Okay, that's great. I think like that would be the end of almost the end of this podcast, because I didn't want to drag it too long. But how was your experience being here?
Yeah, it's fun. I like speaking first of all, but aside from that, I wanted to no share more because like I write a lot on
Yeah.
K Campus, but also at the same time it focuses on like certain topics or
Yes.
certain experiences every single time. So it's kind of hard to have that. It's too much information to write every single time that
Yeah.
I lived here for a long time and everything. So I hope that people would be more interested to not just read my blogs on King Campus, but there's a lot of writers there who experience Korea in different ways. So it's good to know to have that kind of different information for you to like assimilate to this country much easier.
I think that's great. Thank you for being here. We enjoyed your company. We hope we will be seeing you for one of the next episodes sometime soon.
Thank you so much.
This was the episode with Pia. We are going to bring her back, but before that, you have to let us know if you have any questions. I'll write the link of Pia's account of her blogs for your reference. Please go read. Lots of information is there. I hope that would be helpful for you. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye.